most people watching this, including our co-host Doug. It's Tuesday, November 29th. For me, it is 2:20 in the afternoon. I'm still in Germany. Another week or so, a little bit less than that. And for Doug, and for most people, it is 8:20. So that's pretty early. Instagram tells me about 6 people who follow this show are active right now, which would explain why there's almost nobody here. So Doug's going to be joining me in just a minute here, and then we'll jump into the headlines of the day. All right. Sorry for the dead air. Holy cow! I think Doug is literally the only person here. So Doug, we're presenting to there's my mom. So Doug and my mom is who I'm presenting to today. That's good times.
Hey Matt, you disappeared there for a little while. I don't know what happened there.
Did I? Okay. Yeah. You know how I told you there were 6 people active? Oh, live stream went bad?
Yeah, but you were there now. So it like disappeared from the feed. So I wasn't able to join. But hey, good morning.
Oh, weird. Okay. Good morning. So now people are starting to filter in, which is good because for a second, Doug, it was me, you, and my mom. And that didn't feel like a great use of time. Although it is. And there's my son who's here next 5 feet away from me. He's also here. No, but of course, it goes on the podcast, and that's where many more people are.
Yep.
If you are a podcast listener, then I apologize for the delays. The way we're doing these things often leaves me unable to get them up until the next day. So we are just a little bit behind with those. But we're still doing them every day. They will eventually hit that feed a day or a day and a half late.
Yeah.
But not to worry. It'll all be there.
That's just right. We're still working through the time change crunch here, but not time change, the time zone difference crunch, I guess is what you could call it. We're so early that I'm happy having my first sips of coffee here on the show, on the Plant-Based Morning Show.
Wow.
So.
Okay. From an artisan mug.
Of course.
I like to see it. Good. All right. Well, that's the vibe we really want, is a true morning show when we're waking up, everybody's waking up. All right. So anything before we jump into some headlines today, we have some interesting ones. Anything, Doug, today that is significant beyond that? The only thing I've got is the World Cup. United States plays Iran today. That's a significant one. Should be fun. They'd have to win that to get out of the group stage. So a lot of people will be watching closely.
Yep.
Including me. And last night there was a rainbow flag, not a streaker, but whatever they're called, the pitch invader, I guess they call them now.
Yeah.
Person ran on the field. Shirt said things like, save Ukraine, save Iranian women, all kinds of stuff. And he was immediately taken away, and I don't know whatever happened to him. I mean, I don't know if we'll hear from him again.
Yeah, honestly. You know what's I saw that, and I feel like it's one thing for the players to like wear a what do you call them, a armband thing, or some Twitter person to put up an Iranian flag. You know, and like minor forms of protest in that way, but you're pretty well protected.
Yep.
Like this guy is definitely going to jail in Saudi Arabia, and who knows what's going to happen to him or how long he's going to be there.
Right.
Like that to me.
I mean,
that's
it could be worse than jail. You said Saudi Arabia. Did you mean Qatar?
I meant Qatar. Yes.
Or,
yep.
Maybe you knew something I didn't.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's still alive. Honestly, I mean, hopefully they obey most of the international rules of play.
Surely they wouldn't. I mean, who knows? Yeah, but someone's paying attention there. That's for sure.
Yeah, people criticizing it. I hadn't really paid much attention to. I mean, I haven't gotten into the. But I saw people. I see what happened to him, and obviously there was nothing yet. People were responding to Twitter posts saying things like, "Come on, like I get that this is important to everyone. You're also in another country. Like there's a place for respecting their laws and culture, and like that's obviously a complicated issue when the stuff violates what we consider basic human rights. But I don't know. I just it was just strange. It's really interesting that this is happening with this World Cup.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
Anyway.
Yeah. So that's all. I'm curious what you ate for dinner last night, Matt. You're on the road in Germany. Yeah. What'd you have for dinner last night?
You know what I got? I went to Burger King first. So we had 2 dinners. Because the meals here are a little light. They're because we tell them make us vegan food, please, and we're nice about it. It's a guest house where they have the rooms and the restaurant all in one building, and they're used to just you just eat what they make you. So it's a ton of potatoes. They just keep removing like the meat from the plate and giving us potatoes. I think the athletes, like the program that we're here with, they eat high carb stuff. Or they make them high carb foods anyway. So it's a ton of rice and potatoes and pasta, which is fine. I'm very grateful that they're making us vegan food. But sometimes it's a little bit, we just want something a little bit more, protein rich, for lack of a better term, I guess.
Yeah.
So we stopped at Burger King on the way home from practice, and there's something here called a Veggie King, which I didn't know what it was. I couldn't really figure it out. My German is awful, so I just not very able to distinguish. It turned out it was like an old school veggie patty, like with like a Dr. Prager's burger,
Oh.
where it's a fried thing. It looks like a chicken sandwich, like fried patty, but you bite into it and you see like a carrot and a pea and a bean half.
Some
And
old school
so
veggie burgers. All right.
it was an old school veggie burger right there next to the Impossible Whopper and the long chicken plant-based
Wow.
sandwich. I shouldn't say the Impossible Whopper. None of the stuff is impossible here. It's called the Vegetarian Butcher. That's the partner brand. So anyway, yeah, it was a veggie burger with some kind of sauce on it. It was interesting. I didn't hate it, but it definitely was not quite what I wanted. I was looking for that plant-based long chicken taste again.
Yeah.
So,
That's what you get for going off of going away from what you know.
yeah. And then I don't hold on. What do we have? What was the dish they made us last night? Any idea? Some combination of potatoes and stuff. Oh, pasta. It was pasta sauce on it. Yeah. So that
Okay.
I didn't eat too much. I was full from the other thing.
Yeah.
How about
No,
you?
I
What'd
didn't
you
have
have?
anything
Something special?
That's not why I brought this up. I was just curious about you. So if anyone did make anything special, let us know. We had
Yeah.
pasta. Katie did do something special. She made kind of a veg heavy pasta sauce with a bunch of beans, like multiple different types of beans. I don't even know what you'd call it. It was like but then a bunch of vegetables, roasted red peppers. It wasn't creamy or anything like that. I think it was veggie broth. It was kind of the sauce on there, the liquid in there. It was very good. I think it was just kind of one of those, what do we have in the fridge? Let's throw it all in a pot and turn it into a sauce.
I like it. Yeah. Very good. Good. All right. Well, only person commenting right now is Steven. It says it used to be called the Country Burger when he lived in Germany. So the rebrand is what tricked me, because I probably wouldn't have bought a Country Burger. I may, however, next time I go to Burger King, get the plant-based chili cheese burger. I'm very interested and confused about that. They have some sort of chili cheese sides you can get that are vegan. A little bag of fries, and it's these little nuggets that I guess are filled with chili cheese sauce, and somehow they're vegan. So I don't want those, but I'm curious about the burger. Anyway, that's Germany. That's Burger King. On to what we've got. So my mom sent me something this morning. She was up in the middle of the night, I guess. Sent me another good lawsuit, Doug. The lawsuits have become a little bit of a
food lawsuit.
Yes. Here, yeah, they've mostly been about vegan food so far. Not in a vegan. I mean, the lawsuit isn't over vegan stuff, but we talked about, I think, Texas Pete not being made in Texas. Was there some? What was the other? There was some other thing that
geographical issue. It was an Italian pasta.
Right. That's right. There was Italian pasta that was not actually made in Italy. I forget who that was. Barilla, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, this one is Velveeta. It's not vegan, but I think Kraft has been experimenting with these vegan versions of these mac and cheeses. So I figured we could include it here and just bring it up quickly. The problem, it seems, with the Velveeta is that they make a prep time claim that is not accurate. They say that it is a certain amount of time.
Okay.
They say that it's a certain amount of time it takes to make it, and the article doesn't say exactly how long, but basically they once you do the extra. Oh, it says it takes 3.5 minutes, but that only accounts for the cook time, not the total prep time. Now this is not isolated to Kraft Velveeta mac and cheese. This happens with pretty much every recipe you get on the internet.
Yeah,
you get a time, and it almost never matches. Or the whole Rachel Ray 30-minute meal brand is a big farce. I mean, none of that stuff actually takes 30 minutes when you do it start to finish.
Yeah,
unless you've got crazy stuff happening and you're very efficient. But in this case, somehow they're profiting unfairly from it because there's a lot of other steps in there. The packaging must be removed from the pasta cup, and the pouch of cheese sauce must be opened, and water added and stirred, then stirred again after the microwaving after you add the chease. Plus, diners have to wait for the
Who's
sauce
microwaving their Velveeta mac and cheese? Is that a thing?
I think everyone, Doug. I think if you're eating Velveeta mac and cheese, you're looking for the fastest meal you can get, and you don't care how you make it. I mean, I don't know. We used to do it in a pot when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Is that what you would do? You stir it, you melt the sauce, then put the pasta in.
Yeah.
I think my mom made it. I didn't actually make it, but So anyway, all that adds up, leading to a proposed error of just how long it actually takes to make the mac and cheese. The person suing, I think, wants $5 million on behalf of fellow Bamboozled customers. So it doesn't say. I mean, I didn't look that closely, but it's not necessary. I don't know if it's a class action suit, because to me that would be on behalf of the other customers. Those other ones we've been talking about, they're not class action. That's just the person wanting damages and then whatever the rest of it. I forget what it's called. Compensatory and then punitive damages. So it's not that one person says they were wronged to the tune of $5 million. They're saying it's illegal for companies to do this, and if we don't have punitive damages, they won't be held accountable.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's silly, but I don't think it's that.
I mean, it's wrong. It's wrong for the company to misrepresent how long it takes to cook something.
Right. And if everyone did that, we'd have a Wild West, terrible situation. You couldn't believe any claims.
Terrible. Yeah.
I mean, this was minor, but like if that was okay, then you could do it. So I'm okay with this. That's silly, but
yeah, I think it's good too. Hold them accountable. Okay, so this makes me think of two things. I'll start with the lawsuit one. Have you seen the Netflix show Pepsi Where's My Jet?
No, haven't even heard of it.
It's a docuseries about. Do you remember there was like a Pepsi points challenge where when we were kids, where
yes, okay, yep, and
you bought Pepsi, you could like get a T-shirt with Pepsi or a cool jacket, or the commercial said for 7 million points you could get a jet.
Right. And and the jet was a special jet. It was the kind that would like lift off the ground stationary.
Yeah, it was a what do you call it? It was some sort of fighter jet. What are they called? Starts with an H, I think. But so the commercial was a joke, right? Like they weren't actually giving away a jet. It was intended to be a joke.
I don't know if I interpreted it as a joke, actually, now that I think back to those
days.
That
is the big question, right? Is because somebody saved up enough points. He was able to buy some of them, because at one point they allowed you to buy points. And he could buy enough points for like $700 million. He could buy 7 million points. It would be enough for a jet. $700,000. You could buy enough points to get the jet that was worth like $32 million. And so then Pepsi was like, no, I'm not giving you a jet. Like that was a joke. And it went through all the whole legal process, and it was just kind of interesting. Of like, it was an interesting case of marketing and what's legal, what's not, what's considered jokes, like what's considered understanding. So this 3.5 minutes. Is the understanding, the cook time is 3.5 minutes, or is it the total time is 3.5 minutes? So I think that's probably where they're going to be debating. Is like, we're not misrepresenting the cook time. We're just misrepresenting the total time. And I don't know. It was a good series. If you're interested in that kind of thing, it was kind of fun to watch.
So that all happened back then, right? Because no one did that stunt now, did they?
Oh no, this was back in the 90s or whatever. Yeah.
Did they actually get their jet, or not the jet? Did they get the value of it, or maybe they settled?
Do you want me to spoil it, or
I'm not gonna watch the whole series.
No, I mean it was real life events. I actually knew what happened because I remembered it happening.
I remember this too. I just don't remember what happened.
No, they didn't get the jet. He lost. They offered him like
really?
a couple $1 million really early on, and he said no, I'm gonna keep pushing, and then he lost, and they didn't get anything. So, yep. Well, this guy was a kid too, and that was his whole argument. The commercial was geared towards kids.
As a kid,
he was like 14 or something, 15, and he might have been 16, but he had a rich friend that that like father figure, and convinced him. He put together a business plan, put together this whole thing, and the guy decided to back it and gave him the $700,000 that never ended up getting cashed. Although I'm sure they lost a lot of money on attorney fees and stuff like that. But
right. Yeah, funny, interesting. All right, moving on. This one's more serious. Still quick though. This is from The Guardian. Plant-based diet reduces bowel cancer risk by 22% in men. So I think The Guardian is a serious newspaper. It's not one. I always lump it in with these other British ones that are awful. Mirror, I think, is one of them. No, I forget. Mirror might be actually okay. Anyway, Daily Mail, that's one of them. So anyway, they said the researchers find no such link for women, suggesting the connection between diet and bowel cancer is clearer for men. Which I mean, I guess you have to say suggest that. To me, it seems obvious that it's clearer for men, uh, even if it's not necessarily definite. But so it's a large study, almost 80,000 U.S. based men, and I guess women as well. Oh yeah, so they also did 93,000 women. Found that those who ate the largest amounts of healthy plant based foods had a 22% lower risk of bowel cancer compared to those who ate the least. So that's a pretty big number. That means what, probably 1 out of 5 cases don't happen if you eat a plant based diet. So that's pretty significant when a lot of these things we talk about are very small. Like we talk about alcohol risk, and it's like a 1 or 2% increase for sort of a
Mhm.
reasonable level of alcohol. So 22% decrease is massive. We kind of knew this because we've heard this before with the processed meats, and the whole World Health Organization categorizing red meat as like a likely carcinogen, and processed meat as like a definite carcinogen. I think class 1 or something like that. So we kind of knew that, and I think the link was mostly to colon cancer of those foods. So there's not a total surprise. What's a little bit interesting is how they did it. I didn't get into the big details of how they did it. They gave everyone sort of a plant-based index as to how much how plant-based their diet was. This Guardian article kind of spins it as if the more plant foods you were eating, the higher your index went. So that makes sense. You would expect that. And they're talking about healthy plant foods. If you were eating junk, you wouldn't score as good on the index.
Mm.
They don't say so much that like how little meat you were eating, and that we touched on yesterday a little bit with that German soccer chef saying that he thought so much of the benefit came from introducing more vegetables and not eating so much meat. Basically, frees up space in your diet for these vegetables and plants that are so healthy for you. So I didn't get deep enough in to know, are they saying that like reducing the meat consumption is the actual mechanism here, or is it the
Increasing of
the
the.
plant based foods? And it seems from the Guardian's spin on it, at least, that it's more about the increasing of the fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, uh, which like we saw yesterday is what the paleos were eating.
That's
These
right.
grains and seeds and things. So anyway, I don't exactly know which one it is, but the point is, plant based diet with less meat and more vegetables is going to help you if you're a man have less likely chance of getting bowel cancer.
So I actually like that. I mean, I'm looking at this article for the first time here, but I kind of like that it's not looking specifically at plant-based diets, but the increase of plant-based foods.
Yep.
Because I think that that's just a good message to keep hammering home to people: of eat more vegetables, eat more plants, fill your plate with more plants, and probably less meat by default, because you don't want to kind of level out your calories,
Hmm.
and it will result in a lower risk of certain cancers. I think that's really powerful stuff.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. That's a good point. The headline loses that bit of nuance, right? It just says plant-based diet can cut bowel cancer risk by 22%. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't know if that 22%, I maybe should have done more research here. Maybe we can in the future, but I don't know if that 22% number comes from those who are fully plant-based. But anyway, the point is, the more of that stuff you're doing, the lower your risk. And I think you're exactly right that that's the message that I wish would be spread more often. And I
Hmm.
know it's not interesting, so it's not going to be the headline, but we're going to be way more likely to get people to eat less meat by getting way more people to eat less meat than getting a few more people to eat no more meat at all. I
Right.
just think the impact, the potential impact, the low hanging fruit is people eating less meat. So if the headlines were eating less meat, eating more vegetables can reduce these risks, that would be ideal. Like we said, that's not that interesting of a headline though. So everyone knows vegetables are good. Uh, but yeah, I'm with you. That's the message
Not
that
the carnivore
I hope to.
people.
No, that's true. They don't, especially not Bear Grylls. He knows that raw vegetables made his kidneys hurt. So
that's
what do
that's
I know?
right. Yeah.
All right, so that's that one. Another quick one here. We talked a couple weeks ago about Wicked Foods and how they were in several arenas. I think
Hmm.
Doug, you got upset that these vegan foods were only available usually in one spot per arena, not in
Yeah.
all the spots,
Yeah.
because
That
it would
was that
inconvenience
was.
you if you were there
Uh-huh.
with a friend. And yeah, very upset. Anyway, the news now is that they have partnered with a larger group uh, who has a I don't know. The group is called ASM Global. They've got some sort of sub brand called Savor, and they have made Wicked Foods the preferred plant based food partner of ASM Global. And I guess
Hmm.
the news is that ASM they do the food for 350 top arenas. I didn't know there were 350 arenas, period, let alone top arenas. That's a lot of arenas. I mean, I figured one per state
Of
on
the
average would
world's
be
top arenas.
Is it the world's? Okay, so maybe they go beyond just United States. Maybe that's my fault for being a local.
Yeah, you're too
centric.
US centric. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, so I can buy that there are 350 top arenas in the world. Still seems like a lot of arenas, but no, I'm sure it's right. But anyway, it's cool. So my hesitancy here is that they've been named the preferred plant-based partner of these arenas. That doesn't mean that the arenas are all going to use the plant-based partner if there never was one before. So I'm not sure how exciting. I mean, how much we can conclude from this that all arenas will now have a good vegan option. But let's hope. That would be wonderful. And they did say that not only is Wicked bringing 100% animal-free foods to consumers attending event venues, but it's everyday fare. Menu items they already love and they want to eat just happens to be made with plants. I think that's great. I did not like some of the news before about these fancy meals they were making at stadiums. It just didn't seem like what you wanted at a ballpark or arena. You want a hot dog or a hamburger. You don't need some kind of fancy culinary, masterpiece.
Yep.
So you're right on this one. You're not gonna get upset.
No, I mean, there's not a lot of detail here, but obviously, more plant-based food in arenas, the better. Except when they're limited to a single stall that you have to walk all the way around, to the stadium to get to. So if they can bring this to, all I want is for them to bring a plant-based burger into like your just standard like burgers and dogs stand, that like the stadium kind of runs. It's not some outsourced thing partnership with an outside Shake Shack or something like that. Just the standard one that's on in every section. That's where I want the plant-based burger to be. So if they can do that, then I'm a happy man.
Yeah. Then you're going to lose out on your certified vegan, no cross-contamination benefit that you get by having it in one location, because they're not going to put a whole new deep fryer in the stadium each place does.
Yeah. You're right. You know what? But as we just talked about, if we can get people to eat less meat by eating more plants, then that's better, and that's what we'd be doing. That's what we'd be doing there.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. If there wants to be a fully vegan, shop or whatever you call it, a restaurant within the stadium, I'm totally game with that, as long as you're also adding it in into the other places.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm with you.
I'm
distracted by this. Sorry, I bought this new like undershirt thing that is supposed to be warmer because I've been really cold, and it looks like a Steve Jobs turtleneck sticking out from my shirt, and I keep
it does
pushing it down. So I apologize for that fashion choice, everybody.
I didn't even notice until you called it out.
Okay, all right,
that's all I can see.
All right, so what'd you say? Someone's commenting or something?
I'm distracted on this article. If you scroll down to the second picture and within the third picture within the article, that's the famous guy. Who is that?
Oh, that's Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson. How is he connected to Wicked Foods?
Somehow he invests in Wicked Kitchen. He's always that news always puts him in the pictures down in any Wicked Foods article.
Okay.
I don't know why. They always do that. They always tell a story. They tell the story, and then they fill 1,000 more words with stuff that they've said before, and they just rewrite it and put the same pictures up.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
What you got to do,
you got to attract.
Most people aren't reading every article like us.
Yeah, right. And it's good. If it gets more people to read the vegan articles, I'm good with it.
All right, Whole Health Experience. Whole Health Experience wants to know about what about the worker who may accidentally serve you a beef burger? I mean, that's legit, right? We talked about that happening at Burger King?
Exactly.
I mean, that's going to happen. But
but I think it'll happen less. I think people will begin to control that better.
Mm-hmm. I just think that there will be going to be so many more people who would be like, "Oh yeah, I'll get the veggie burger," when they're walking up there and looking at the menu. Then
I think you're right, because they're getting a bunch of beer and stuff.
I've lost your
sound. I think I may have cut out. Yeah, whenever I get a call or something, it messes me up.
There's so many more
someone's
people
buying a bunch of beer and pretzels and stuff. They're like, "Oh, I'll get a healthy burger at least," because I'm drunk enough to not know the difference. And I was
yeah, exactly.
Stephen wants to know if I'm near a Decathlon sports store. That's actually where I went today, Stephen. I went there and got a bunch of stuff to add to my Adidas collection and bring back to the United States. All right. So moving on, got to move pretty quickly here, Doug. On to our big topic of the day, which is 2 articles, 1 topic, really. The quick one is James Cameron. I mean, they're both quick, and then we can talk about it. James Cameron says that we should call this vegan plant-based thing we always talk about, that we should be calling it a futurevore. because it's eating like the people in the future will. That's the idea. It doesn't say eating for the future or eating so that we have a future. It's more about we're just being futuristic in our eating pattern because that's what we're all going to be forced to do, just because of as we run out of land. Even if, again, if you don't believe in climate change, and I know there are people who doubt it, we will run out of land when China and India become first, whatever, when they get a lot of people who are much more well off than they currently are, and those people all want the same amount of meat as Americans. There is literally not enough room on the planet for that much meat. So we need some other solution. And so he's saying futurivore is what we're going to call this diet, or what we should call it now, to not have the ideology. What is it? The ideological stuff that the vegan diet does. So that's that. And the similar story is that Australians shun climate-led diet changes. Apparently, Australians, this is done some sort of survey. They don't give much data. They believe in climate change. They're more than ever believing in that. But they were unwilling to sacrifice meat for a more sustainable diet. And the implication is that they don't care enough about the climate. I've been someone who's kind of for a long time, like, been sort of in the dark about environmental stuff, and just it hasn't motivated any of my choices. And I always say, well, I'm vegan, so like I'm already doing way more than most people, so I'm fine. I don't need to think about the climate. But I think where it comes from is not caring. It's that, like, I have the sense that one person, just why I don't vote very much in anything but the presidential elections. I just feel like it doesn't matter. My vote just makes no difference, and neither does my decision to use paper towels in my house. I mean, what does it matter if I use paper towels? So it's that tragedy of the commons, right, where everyone assumes that, like, their contribution doesn't really matter, and then no one acts as a result, and we end up with disaster. So I don't know. I think that's what's happening for a lot of people like me, where it just seems like, I don't know. But then again, I do eat the plant-based diet, so that's the thing they're mostly unwilling to do.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you call out the, like, problem with that philosophy.
Yeah. Right. Of course, it's a problem. But there's no incentive to the individual.
Right. I think with the Australian thing, so I used to have, when I lived in DC, I had a lot of friends who worked for different environmental organizations, and I was always really surprised by how few of them were even vegetarian. That the diet was just kind of like, I mean, they were dedicating their work to environmental causes, but diet was kind of just this back burner thing that, like, they knew, like, the plant-based diet was a little bit better, but it's kind of the opposite of what you're saying. We're going to be fighting for corporations to reduce their footprint and not really, like, take that step. And what I think it is, meanwhile, but they would bike everywhere, and certainly, they would carry.
So it would just be the diet that they would not.
Yeah, maybe even, like, carry a fork so they didn't get a plastic fork at a takeout restaurant, that kind of thing. And I think it's just that, like, diet is a big self-sacrifice, more than recycling or not using paper towels, or kind of trying to purchase a quote unquote environmentally friendly soap or something like that. I think that it's a lot harder, and it's a bigger sacrifice, and people, even if they think that they care or are willing to make smaller sacrifices in their life, aren't as motivated with the diet. And I think, that's got to change. I mean, it's just going to have to change for any sort of significant movement and towards climate change to take place, both because of the impact of personal diets, but also because we got to change the market. We got to change the what people are, what businesses are doing, corporations are doing, and the only way to do that is to change the fund. So I think that it's going to happen over time, but people are still wrapping their head around whether diet is really worth the sacrifice. I think for the exact reason that you're talking about, just of like, how much is, like, this is a pretty big sacrifice for me, and how much of an impact is it really having on the overall kind of collective needle.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, the incentive to the individual, like the way you solve that sort of tragedy of the commons issue, is you actually incentivize the people in some way. And so I think it will happen naturally. I don't always love when the government steps in and applies, incentives, puts them in place. I understand why sometimes it has to happen, but I think to some extent it will happen naturally because it will become way more expensive to produce meat as, maybe not as the environment gets more and more hurt, because that'll ultimately be coming from, taxes and things that are imposed. But the thing I was talking about, where we run out of space, that will literally just cause a natural price increase, right? It will become more expensive to produce the amount of meat that people want to have. Price will naturally go up. People will then be incentivized to spend less on it or eat less of it because it costs so much. So I do think there's kind of a natural solution in place to that part of it. Not saying it's going to solve all the problems by any means, but I do think incentives will come one way or another in the form of it being more expensive for people.
And unless it all is just made in a lab, and then that kind of solves the space issue.
Sure, and that would be great if it did.
Yeah,
I'd be great at that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then Future 4. We need to say what
Future 4. All right.
James Cameron, by the way, he's been vegan for 10 years. He put his name on the Game Changers. That was big news. I think he was an executive producer, perhaps. He's done he's Hollywood, superstar as far as his film production. And Avatar is his big thing now. So he matters. He's not just a nobody proposing this.
Right. All right. Here's my take.
Crazy name.
Here's my take.
Okay.
I very much respect James Cameron and his filmmaking, and of course, I'm really glad that I think that probably him being part of Game Changers put it automatically in a different level.
Yeah, definitely.
Than if he hadn't been. So I'm totally grateful for that. This to me screams out of touch LA elite right here. like no one is going to call their diet the Future 4 diet. It's just not going to happen. That's not going to take off. And so when people talk about those liberal elites in California, I think this is exactly what's happening here. And I have no beef with liberal elites. So I think that this is kind of a.
I haven't seen any of the Avatar films, though. I have no interest in those. They're too long for me. Any of his movies I haven't seen. They're too long. I'm just not interested in long movies. But I would imagine those blue people in Avatar that they would say things like Future 4 when they talk about their diet. And I think he's probably in that mental space rather than the planet Earth one that we inhabit. So I'm with you. That's a crazy name.
Yeah.
Sounds like Futurama.
I used to love the Avatar movies.
Did you?
Then when the first one came out, man, I was blown away by it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody was. I didn't see it. But I remember people were, that was all the rage. I saw Titanic, though, a couple times.
Okay. That's a long one.
It was long. That was kind of before I formed my policy against long movies.
Yeah. Now you only like Lindsay Lohan movies.
I like them short. Yeah, I don't like to have to pay attention to the movie. I like to be able to go in and out, consume it, feel like I sort of saw it. Good enough. Did you notice, Doug, in the right-hand side of the Veg News page? I don't know if it's the same for you or me, or as me, but they have a "Tell Aldi to Go Crate Free" ad there. I don't know whose news is themselves doing it, but Aldi has been the topic of debate on this show as to whether they were good for vegan food. But apparently they've got some issues with crated animals. So think twice, maybe click the ad and learn more. But
yeah, I don't. That's not showing up for me. It's the holiday vegan cookie contest.
Okay.
So
a little different.
I'm interested.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe we'll talk about that another day. All right. The whole health experience agrees with me on the movies. That's good. Not a lot of us see it that way, but I certainly do. That's why I don't see Tom Hanks movies, Green Mile or Castaway or whatever. I mean,
you don't have to pay attention to Castaway. It's literally like 2 hours of just him sitting there. So
you gotta know what happens if you miss a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, you step away and you come back a half hour later, he'll still be sitting there talking to a beach ball,
talking to Wilson.
Yeah.
All right, good. Well, I got to run, Doug. A little bit overtime today.
All right,
we'll be back.
You cut out.
Sorry, I just cut out again. My phone's
okay.
telling me. All right. Yes.
Thanks,
we'll be back
everybody.
tomorrow. I think tomorrow will be like
9:30?
9:15, 9:30. Yeah, a.m. Eastern time. So that'll be a little bit better. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for coming, everyone. We will talk to you then.
All right. See ya.
Goodbye.